What's going on, YouTube gamers? Bonfire here, and welcome back to my 2013 End of the Year series. Today we're going to cover my nominees for the GameSite 2013 Game of the Year. That's right, the big daddy of them all. Now, in making this list, the first three were very easy to put on the list. I think they're pretty obvious ones. The last two, though, I was tossing around with a couple different games, and I thought it was a little difficult to come up with the last two, but I got them on the list, so let's dive right into it. The first game on the list is Bioshock Infinite, and I'm a huge fan of the Bioshock series. I love Bioshock, the first one. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time, and Bioshock Infinite had some really high expectations, not only from myself, but from a lot of other gamers in the industry as well. I mean, the game got delayed, people were a little worried about it, but it ended up delivering in a big way. And one of the great things that Bioshock does, and does really well, is it has fantastic combat and gameplay, mixed with good story and a great, immersive, and unique environment. And I thought that was really cool. Colombia is such a gorgeous place to play through and look at. I mean, it's a city in the sky. I mean, how cool is that, right? And it like I said, it has great combat, has a great story, and it does a lot of small, detailed things within that game that really makes the game stand out. There's so much detail, and it's a fun experience. And the ending in that game, don't worry, no spoilers, will literally blow your mind. It's worth it. You can get that game super cheap now too. And I think when any game that has really high expectations and it expects to do really well and it actually delivers, I think that's game of the year material. So next on the list is a game that I've talked about quite a bit on YouTube, and that is The Last of Us. It's by Naughty Dog, the people who make Uncharted, and this game was phenomenal. One of my favorite games of all time as well, and it's another game that blends great gameplay with great narrative. And that's one of the things that Naughty Dog does really well, is they blend those two together so well. And with Uncharted, it's more of a cinematic movie Hollywood type experience. But with The Last of Us, it's more of an emotional experience. And it's one that's, I think, unparalleled by just about any other game out there. And it's such a compelling, fun experience that the moment you start that game and play through that introduction, you're sucked in. Like, I literally couldn't put it down, and it just got me so emotionally involved within the game. And it's a game that really makes you care about the characters, and that's another thing that not very many games do, and I'm drawn to that. I'm really drawn to games that have exciting stories, even if they're dark stories. And it's another game. It's a post-apocalyptic type game with a zombie outbreak, or not really a zombie outbreak, but something similar to a zombie outbreak. And the ending is a kind of a controversial one, but I don't think it could have ended a better way. And it's amazing. It is the sole reason you should buy a PlayStation 3 if you don't have one. That game alone is a reason. Now, one of the other things that game does really well is it also has great multiplayer, and that's something I didn't really expect in coming into that game. And what it takes that great gameplay from the single player experience, incorporates that into a multiplayer experience that is a lot of fun, and I think is kind of underappreciated within the gaming community. And it involves a lot of teamwork. It has a steep learning curve, but once you kind of get the hang of it and you're playing with some good people, you're working together, it is absolutely a blast. And hopefully I can bring some more of that gameplay back to the channel for you guys. Continuing with the list is Grand Theft Auto 5. And this was another game that had really high expectations from myself as well as the gaming community and industry. And it delivered. And it delivered with a bang. This game is a really big game. A very big game. And it has both single player and multiplayer. And the single player I thought was really cool and unique because there's 3 main characters. And I don't know any other games that have 3 main characters. And what I liked about that was they each have their own stories, and they kind of intertwine with one another. And as you get to do different missions and heists and go through the single player campaign, you get to see it through 3 different sets of eyes. There's 3 different viewpoints as you go through that campaign, and I thought that was really cool and really unique. And speaking of a big game, I mean, you can spend hours upon hours just wandering and doing various activities, and I think that's really cool. It's a game that has a lot of content in it, and the multiplayer, they did a great job with it. I mean, after the rough start, of course, but there's a lot of things they can do. They're constantly dishing out new content for free and updates, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a really deep game, and there's a lot of different things you can do, and it's another game that I think is worth every penny. Now, this next game on the list is one that I really felt like was underappreciated and didn't get the respect that it deserves. I mean, it got some really good reviews across the board, but it just isn't talked about very much, and I think that's unfortunate. And that game is Metro Last Light, and this game is the sequel to Metro 2033 that came out a few years ago. That game was fun, had its fair share of problems though, but it was still really good. And this Metro Last Light addresses those problems, and it does it really well. And it's another post-apocalyptic game. Man, that's a little tongue twister, but it's a post-apocalyptic game, and it's really cool. And I'm a fan of those types of games. And one of the cool things about Metro Last Light is that it's a very dark game, and it has a really good story, a much improved story from the first one. And it's a first-person shooter. And it's not a horror game. I wouldn't categorize it in the horror genre, but there are some jump scares. There are some scary, creepy moments within that game, some tense moments. And when you mix those tense moments with some stealth gameplay, and it's not the best shooting mechanics you've ever experienced, but it works within the game, I think you get a great game. And I had a lot of fun playing with it. It was another game that kind of just hooked me from the get-go. Couldn't put it down, and I really enjoyed it overall. It really delivered, and it's sad that it's kind of an underappreciated game, but that's one of the reasons why I put it on this list. So you can pick it up for super cheap now. I'm sure like 30 bucks. It's worth it. It's worth it if you want a good single player game just to sit down, play by yourself, and enjoy. Now, the last game on this list was one that it was a little tough to put on because I was tossing between this and Tomb Raider, and they're both great games, but I find myself constantly coming back to this game. That's why I put it on the list, and that game is Rezogun. This is the PlayStation 4 downloadable game. It's free for PlayStation Plus subscribers, and it's amazing. It's so fun, and when this game first came out and I first heard about it, I didn't really have that high of expectations, but a lot of people were talking about it, so I was like, I'll give it a try. And what it does is it delivers that classic arcade experience that you just don't find anymore. And it's kind of like a Galaga type game where you're in your ship, you're shooting things, shooting other spaceships, and trying to survive, not get hit. But you're also saving humans, and it's done in a really cool pixel art type form. And don't let that fool you, because it has amazing graphics, runs at I believe 60 frames per second. It's very colorful, has a fantastic soundtrack, and it's addicting. It's that classic addictive arcade experience that, like I say, you just don't find that anymore. And I didn't expect that going in, and I was blown away. And I keep finding myself coming back to this game and just playing it, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it, trying to beat the harder difficulties, playing through different levels, trying to get a higher score, trying the different vehicles, and it's an absolute blast. And I really think it deserves to be on this list because of that classic experience that it delivers and the addictive fun gameplay. So there you guys have it, my 5 nominees for the GameSite 2013 Game of the Year. If your game didn't make the cut, let me know what it is and why it should make the cut in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know with a like. And if you're new, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the rest of the series as we recap 2013 and cover my games of the year. Until next time, I'm Bonfire, and I will see you online. Hey guys, don't forget Facebook and Twitter. Hit that button down below.